going to hand over to our actual headline sponsors, Algebra for a Fireside chat. They do have a stall outside, so you can find out more, but you'll learn loads right now. But they have some swag outside, so do grab some swag. They'll be talking about revolutionizing ethical finance and connecting ethics and sustainability to your everyday finance. So I'm going to hand over to Nizam, who will be hosting this Fireside chat. Over to you.
Can you all hear me? Fantastic, brilliant. A real pleasure to be here. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, again. So my name is Nizam, Chief Strategy Officer at Algebra. And then why don't we do introductions actually first?
Yeah, of course. My name is Omer, CTO at Algebra. And I think, yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Anton. I'm one of the tech leads at Algebra.
Brilliant. And we don't usually let our techies out, so you are very, very lucky. We've let them out, and I feel like everyone's out as well. Algebra, just for those who... In fact, I know some of you, as part of our wonderful partnership with Islamic Makers, have an Algebra account. Put your hand up if you have an Algebra account right now. Amazing. If you have any difficult questions for the Q&A, please. But I hope you've had a lovely experience, and actually would love to hear from you at some point over the course of the day about how that's gone for you. So Algebra is a fintech, a digital banking solution that we have created from an ethical and ESG perspective. It happens to be fully Sharia compliant, and we've built our tech stack completely from scratch, which is a rare thing in the UK. There's a handful of other propositions in the country that have done the same. Starling, Monzo, Revolut, Ziglu. There aren't that many, actually. So that in itself is quite remarkable, and it's been down to these remarkable gentlemen. So what I want to do is give you guys an insight into our tech team and our approach to building. And then we can go from there, and there'll be an opportunity to ask questions from everybody. So the first question I have is actually maybe to give everyone an insight into your own backgrounds as to other propositions that you've been a part of, because it's quite extensive.
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined Algebra as part of the founding team, and before Algebra, I was lucky to design, lead, and build 7 different digital banking propositions from scratch, across to UK, US, Turkey, Middle East as well. I worked with brands like NatWest for Metal, for UK SME banking project, and worked for Nationwide for Business again in the UK, Millibank for US, First National Bank of Omaha, and HSBC Turkey, and a few others in the Middle East region as well. My background is from back-end engineering to mobile engineering to several other aspects of software engineering. I studied industrial electronics and mechatronics. Then after I graduated, I realized that the whole microchip programming and all of that, it's not great for me. And I decided to move on to more software engineering side. Obviously, the learnings from that part of the world, from electronics, helped a lot for me to think differently in software engineering. Spent more than 15 years in software engineering for fintech, finance, bank, etc. So we then built Algebra, and live today in the UK, available for everyone.
So Omer, before I'll go to Anton, he's ridiculously an overachiever. How many musical instruments do you play?
Just 2 or 3 of them. I think once you start learning one of them, playing one of them,
he makes it sound so easy.
It's just the rest is just almost the same.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anton?
I'm not sure why you made me. I should have gone first. I can't top that. I'm also 15 years in software engineering. Originally from South Africa, did my computer science degree there, and then did my master's here in the UK. And so I guess the last 15 years worked in small startups, also for all the big banks. But the last 5 years, more into fintech. I really found it really interesting how technology was disrupting the financial industry. And that's where I also met Omer and the team, many of my friends and colleagues at Algebra. And so I have not built 7 propositions, only about 2. Yeah, that's me.
And 2 core banking systems too, we should add.
Algebra has 3, sorry.
3 core banking systems, I apologize. The numbers just add up. One of the reasons, and I think this is quite important for us to outline, one of the reasons why as a company we decided to build the tech stack from scratch is because, frankly, it's every one of us right now. I mean, I'm not from the banking world or the tech world, actually. I spent over a decade working for an organization, running it mostly, called Mosaic, which was an initiative from then Prince of Wales, now His Majesty the King, focused on engaging on social issues affecting Muslim communities and minority communities in the UK. So I spent a lot of my time addressing social problems and issues, actually. And so I come from that world, but I've really quickly learned in the last 2.5 years how difficult it is first to build a tech stack like we have, but also why it's so important. Because actually, I learned that a handful of people can just overnight build something called a digital bank and just be really good at marketing because everything's available as software as a service. But the reality is within the banking world and within banking and finance more generally, there are things that actually a lot of people with particular values, it might be faith-based, it might be socially conscious, can't really determine or have autonomy over. For example, where is your money being custodied? Is it being exposed to industries that you can't control? And these are things that we take very seriously as Algebra, and one of the key defining features of why I think we were created. So my first question to you guys is, why, you were doing incredible things, building many, many, many banks. Why did you feel the need to move to an Algebra and actually have the opportunity to build a tech stack from scratch?
Yeah, it's a great question. So someone being in this industry more than 15 years, obviously you end up with different projects and, products, etc. And I was lucky to get involved in the 7 different projects, different jurisdictions, etc. There are a lot of challenges there. And the moment I realized that Algebra is a different thing, not just a marketable product, not such about marketable product, not just about a specific, service for a specific audience in one country. I realized that the learnings I got from my entire, experience will be really helpful to help and grow the advantage of serving different communities, not just as an end service, also like helping the banks to understand their challenges, helping the digital, other fintechs, and so on. So it's not about, selling a product. It's about addressing the problem globally. And that's why I wanted to join from day one, basically. And the other question was about, why we wanted to build from scratch. As you may know, basically, if you know how to build a nice-looking mobile application, you can just pull few third-party services, tie them together, put a microservice layer to kind of orchestrate them. Then you have a nice-looking mobile application. You call, fintech, or off you go. You can market it. Great, you have a product. Then, obviously, there's always build versus buy and vendor lock-in concerns. Everyone knows that, obviously. But if you're building something really big, something that you need to move around the globe, and something that you need to face with challenges that you don't even know. If you go to a brand new jurisdiction, there is different regulations. There are different type of challenges there. You can't really, use anything off the shelf and end up with rebuilding lots of things from scratch. So we wanted to be masters of our own destiny in this journey. And from day one, obviously, we kind of spend a little bit more time on certain things and all the learnings that we have in the engineering team, with the culture that we've built from scratch. Because not just the Anton I worked with before, rest of the team, at least 2 different projects in the past, we worked all together in different, propositions, etc. So we've built this thing from scratch to be able to, go where we wanted to be in the world and help all the, all the people that we can help, companies, fintechs, etc., with the services that we can provide locally, globally, internationally.
I mean, you said something, you can call it luck, serendipity, kismet, but what's really amazing is actually the team that we have at Algebra, all in-house. I mean, they all are part of the Algebra team, fully working as full members of staff. You'd worked on multiple projects together, including with Anton. So Anton, why was the proposition of Algebra more compelling than many of the things that I'm sure was on offer for you?
Well, yeah, interesting. So why did I join Algebra? So when I was I wasn't living in the UK at the time when Omer called me and he told me about Algebra. I was like, oh, no thanks, I'm not interested in a project in the UK. And then he started telling me more about Algebra. What's the goal? It's like, why are we building Algebra? It's different. Like Algebra at its core, how it's propositioning itself is all about ethics in fintech, which you do not always come across. And so yeah, I found that really compelling, like how Algebra is putting ethics at the center of itself, and building with like the latest tech, amazing team, and yeah. So how could you say no to that? And we all like starting a new project. Nobody likes working on legacy code, right?
Another thing that I know is you've had creative license in being able to build to your own experiences, which I think is the power as well. So I think we all hear about things that go well. So maybe share with us what has gone well in some of the building and what's gone badly. We saw Rahma, who gave an amazing talk about headlines. We're not quite there. In fact, it should be a goal of ours, right? Where if it goes down, it should be headline news. That's when you've made it. So what's gone well? What's gone maybe not so well?
Yeah, to be completely honest, everyone knows there is no perfect bug-free code, right? So let's just be clear. There are bugs that you haven't identified yet, or you just put in your backlog and you will deal with that later on. It's not critical. So obviously, the things that we've built and we keep launching and iterating from here to there, it's up to standards that we think that we can scale and we can share and then get a feedback. It's not about having a bug-free or like risk-free, software delivery. It's about how you can quickly interact and iterate from one stage to another. That linked with your internal culture, your tooling, your pipeline, your understanding. And because of that, from day one, we've built a culture like product engineering that is a little bit of mixture of being a full stack, but also we add the product understanding on top of it to remove all the silos, to remove the knowledge gap. Obviously, everyone has their own main skills, but as a big team, we always focus on improving each individual skills where we feel some gaps, whether it's soft skill or like technical skills, understanding of the product. Without understanding the actual product bit and feeling it, you can't really solve the problem with a technical solution. It's just a piece of code that you think it's fine to go market. So with this culture, we have a really quick way of acting to a problem and serving from there. So one of the problems I remember, obviously, in tech these days, if you have problem, throw some Kubernetes. If you have problem, throw some Kafka, throw some event sourcing, mix them, then you have nice solution. So initially, with the first architecture we've designed, there was a lot of excessive usage of Kafka for some unnecessary interactions, especially with synchronous activities that we've designed for the microservice interactions. That led into some operational problems because of the certain difficulties, as we know, about the Kafka and scalability, etc. And obviously, with the very quick iterations, we ended up changing the architecture on that specific piece and release the code, test it, etc., and deploy, and then now it's fixed. There are like tons of other issues that we experienced, obviously. Again, it's not about how many bugs you have, it's about how quickly that you can fix.
Anton?
So I think like one of the highlights for me is when we started out, we had a very small focused dev team, and that was what really made it possible for us to deliver quality code in a really short space of time, relatively. And yeah, I guess like I can add to Omer, like when we had the scalability issues, like an issue I faced one Friday evening at a supermarket, tapping my Algebra card, and it just declined. Like my heart's sinking. And I was like, oh, my goodness. Okay, Omer, we need to check the logs now. Everything is down. But I just didn't have any money in my account. So everything was fine. User error.
Brilliant. Really keen to open it up to the floor, but before I do, is there one thing in particular? I mean, it's been a remarkable journey over the last 2.5 years in building what we've built and what we're rolling out in the coming months and years. Is there something that you're particularly proud of in terms of what we've achieved so far?
Yeah, I think not just the product that we have available on the market, also the culture that we've built for the tech internally, not just for Algebra again, because we always strive for, sharing our experiences. We always started that on GitHub, sharing the learnings for the certain things on our GitHub repo, and there'll be other, projects that we think that we can open source once we have the right maturity of the progress as well. With that, also, you want to, with the services and products and the understanding and the challenges that we experience, we want to help the world for finance, tech, by sharing our experiences and understanding, and that's what I'm really proud of today.
Anton?
Yeah, I'll just echo that. Like, obviously, I'm proud of the tech and what we're able to achieve, but I think it's the ethics at the center of Algebra that I'm really proud of, and how it comes through in the product features. Like, you can donate to charities that you feel you want to contribute to, or we would measure your planet impact, and you can offset your carbon with that. And yeah, so it just means like every Algebra user is like an active participant in contributing to positive change.
And there's two things you've mentioned. I'm just going to elaborate because those are two things that I'm really proud of as someone who's done all the work I've done. One being the most recent feature we've put out there is the donate functionality, which is we've been able to structure a donate button where actually you can donate directly to a charity without any processing fees. So the whole point being giving money directly to select charities through the app, and no one gets charged. We basically have figured out our way in which we can do that in an effective way. And the second one, which I know, this is the thing about engineers. I don't know how many of you are actually engineers. I'm not an engineer, but like I think something's a huge deal. I was like, no, it's what it is. Like, for example, we're one of the few fintechs in the country where you can track your carbon. For every pound you spend, you can figure out how much carbon has been, you've basically like stampeded onto the ground, right, if you will. And then no one was really creating the same user journey to be able to offset that. And these guys took that on, created the same user experience where you can track your footprint and offset your footprint. And more to the point, we curate our projects, hand select them, so that they are directly going to causes and projects that are affecting communities most affected by climate change, sadly often from the diaspora communities that a lot of us come from. And we get to do that directly through the app. And those are things that we take really seriously, and those are things that I'm really proud of as well. But I will stop there, conscious of time. We have 3.5 minutes. Would love to... we have a stall outside. We have colleagues, Zainab and Noor, right at the front here, who are outside. We'd love to speak to you throughout the day, so this won't be just the next 3 minutes. But if anybody does have any questions, we'd love to hear them. There. Oh.
I wanted to thank you for the talk. It's been really interesting, especially as a new Algebra user. My question is specifically for Nizam. I think your trajectory has been quite interesting, going from a social organization to fintech. And my question is, what are the main things you took from your background working for a social organization to fintech?
I can answer that very quickly. I mean, the reason why I moved into fintech was because I felt the most powerful way of impacting our community. So I'll give you a very short story. The thing that really broke, the straw that broke the camel's back, I spent a year working with the government SAGE structures on COVID disproportionality. And then within my day job, within the Prince's Charities, I was responsible for Black Lives Matter and responding to it. So on one level, why are people dying from our communities? And another, why are we not effectively having the opportunities in society? And a lot of it was capital. Bottom up, i.e. how do we grow our income and our wealth? And top down, having companies that from the beginning invest in our communities. And it was very clear I had to go somewhere where that was something that I could design from scratch. And so every single day, I have not left a single thing behind. I take it into what we do at Algebra, from the foundation work that we do through to the functions of the app. So I can speak for hours on this, and you don't want me to speak for hours on this. So I hope that answers it for now, and I'll happily answer the others. There's a couple of... Oh, there we go.
Yep, thank you so much for that. It's been fascinating. I wanted to ask, you mentioned that when you're working across jurisdictions, it's not great to use something off the shelf. It's safer to build from scratch. For someone who wants to do something going into another country, a third world country, what's the best way of understanding what the socio-economic and legal challenges are within a country, and what's the best way to understand that and understand how you can actually accumulate that knowledge in the best way possible?
A great question. I think what I'm going to say here, I think probably compliance directors will not like it. So leave the compliance aside, because that's something that you have to do anyway, and focus on the product, challenges. And obviously you will find your way to solve that problem with another solution, or like one of the hundreds of different combinations in tech. And from there, if you solve what you can do for the customer with the product that you deliver with the regulatory requirements aside, then you can just bundle the solution and go there. Obviously, with the global thinking, there are challenges that you don't have any access to cloud. Where you have access to cloud, even you have cloud access, there are countries and geographical regions that you're not allowed to use cloud for finance, because this is a really highly regulated business. Obviously, you have to take care of what needs to be done for the regulatory and regtech point of view. So, for example, if you go to Turkey or Saudi, it's not allowed to use cloud. It's not even allowed to use any, off-prem services for architecture, for the for the backend infrastructure, etc. For example, we decided to use Kubernetes, and obviously in UK we have AWS, but we don't use like very native AWS services. The bits that we have from AWS usually abstracted in a way that we can replace easily with a local or on-prem solution. Those are the things that we, considered from day one, and that's why I think our solution is globally scalable.
I think time's up. Please, if you have questions, join us on the stall. We'll be there for the rest of the day. Allow me to say just congratulations to Arfa and the Islamic Makers team for everything that you've done, and we hope this is the start of a very long partnership with Algebra, and we're proud to be part of the community. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much to the Algebra team. And yeah, Algebra, as part of obviously many of the other sponsors, they're the people who make today and make this community possible.